Hello, white people. About those new mail trucks. Now, the EPA wants them to be electric vehicles. The U.S. Postal Service announced last spring that it would buy around 150 new mail trucks from Oshkosh Defense, and that they would be gas-powered instead of electric. The EPA is now asking the USPS to pause the contract and take a more serious look at electric vehicles for these daily work trucks that follow a known route and return to a centralized location. Yeah, because all of America is the suburbs. The USPS is independent of the executive branch and so doesn't have to follow the EPA's request. Ha 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 ha! But it looks like this messy fight isn't quite finished. Upgrading the U.S. Postal Service's truck fleet has been a long and controversial process, and we're not done yet. As a quick recap, the USPS started looking for replacements for 150,000 or so Grumman Long Life vehicles, LLVs, in around 2015. For a while, it looked like the new fleet might be made up of mostly electric vehicles. But when the contract for the new mail trucks was awarded to Oshkosh Defense in the spring of 2021, the USPS said only 10% of the new mail trucks might be electric. Vague. One of the contenders for an electric truck, Workhorse, sued the USPS last summer over the deal because we wanted it. Now the government is asking the USPS to pause on the $11.3 billion contract and reconsider the gas-powered truck purchases in the face of climate damage. Well, the Biden administration said, and the EPA told the USPS, which operates independent of the executive branch, used to have to say this shit twice because libtards, they just don't understand, that the new Oshkosh trucks are just 0.4 miles per gallon more efficient compared to the outgoing LLVs, 8.6 miles per gallon versus 8.2 miles per gallon for the older vehicles. I don't understand why the fuel efficiency is so bad, and why are they going with a defense company to fix it? Are these things like bomb-proof or something? It also said that the environmental impact statements, EIS, the USPS conducted as it decided where to award the contract were not conducted correctly. Well, communism was never done correctly, so we got to keep trying that again. Got to tell the USPS they didn't do their impact studies right. The EPA sent a letter to the USPS yesterday that said that the whole reason to buy new mail trucks was to make them cleaner, better, and safer. The EPA said last fall that it had a problem with how the USPS conducted an earlier impact study about the truck purchase and said that the final impact study remains seriously deficient. Okay. Specifically, it went on, the final impact study does not disclose essential information underlying the key analysis of total cost of ownership, underestimates greenhouse gas emissions, fails to consider more environmentally protective, feasible alternatives, and inadequately considers impacts on communities with environmental justice concerns. Fuck your communities with environmental justice concerns. Jeez. The EPA letter said the EPA or the Biden administration could also sue the USPS to reconsider the truck purchases, something that Adrian Martinez, an attorney for the environmental law firm Earth Justice, thinks could work. Who cares what Earth Justice thinks? It's hard to predict what courts will do, but the Postal Service's work here is just so embarrassingly flimsy, Martinez told the Washington Post. They don't reveal the source of the information for many of their conclusions, instead dismissing electrification outright. That's actually not true. In other articles I read, one of the reasons why the post office is not getting electric vehicles is because there's no infrastructure. If they get electric vehicles, then they spend all the money on those vehicles. They're going to have to spend a ton of money improving their own infrastructure. Even if they just got electric vehicles for the suburb mail delivery people, how many electric whatever charging places do they have to build? So people who don't have any money, they're the ones who are saying, oh, well, you need to spend more money. Powering the USPS's standard mail delivery trucks with electrons instead of gasoline would go a long way to hitting President Biden's January 2021 executive order that would replace the federal government's current fleet of vehicles with electric vehicles as part of an expanded Buy America Act. Buy America? That's so weird. The federal government had more than 645 vehicles in its fleet in 2019, about a quarter of which would be replaced by the 165 new trucks the USPS is looking to buy over the next decade. Too expensive, says the USPS. The USPS's defense is, see how it's saying weak, is that it would simply be too expensive to buy tens of thousands of electric vehicles. Well, we can understand why some who are not responsible for the financial sustainability of the Postal Service might prefer the Postal Service acquire more electric vehicles. The law requires the Postal Service to be self-sufficient. USPS spokesperson told the Post in a statement. Well, check that out. Well, we can understand why some who are not responsible for the financial sustainability, see, these communists, they're spending every money. They don't understand what balanced budget means and financial independence, self-sufficient. They don't understand those concepts. They think that tax dollars are endless. President Biden's social spending package proposal unveiled last year, including $6 billion for the USPS to purchase new vehicles. But that proposal is still being debated in Congress. In late January, the California Air Resources Board asked the USPS to hold a public hearing about its vehicle purchase plans, and the EPA joined that call in its letter yesterday. EPA officials told the Post that even if the USPS goes ahead with the gas-powered vehicles this year, there may still be time to shift the bulk of the purchases to electric in the coming years. So the USPS has a headache, but all these people can whine, complain, bitch, and moan, and there's nothing that they can do. By law, the USPS has to be self-sufficient, and they can't go running down these la utopian paths of, well, we have to make everything greener, And then electric vehicles, once the battery dies, that's it. Done. You have to get a new battery. How expensive is that? All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.